This podcast is getting ready to take an interesting turn, but this applies to you. Stay tuned. We're going to jump in.
I'm Cristy Code Red, and you're listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we believe food holds the power to heal or poison, and we believe our society has been misled regarding proper nutrition and weight loss. You're in the right place if you're looking for some straight up truth, because I'm here to shed light on the lies and brainwashing that has taken place over the past 5 decades. Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. I'm your host, Cristy Code Red, author, entrepreneur, retired professional boxer. I'm sitting a little bit far from the camera. Those of you guys watching on YouTube on codered.tv. I'm here in my office. I like to, we're coming up on almost 300 episodes, and I'm just kind of wanting to mix up the background a little bit, wanted to mix things up a little bit. I did my hair into a faux hawk. I'm sweeping it back instead of forward. I don't know. I'm just trying to shake it up a little bit. So thanks for joining me on this episode. You know what? We're coming up on 300 episodes, guys. I have never missed an upload. I have never missed an upload. In almost 300 episodes. Every Wednesday morning, I have uploaded an episode, and I am so grateful to have you here. We're still holding strong in the top rated podcast in my category, and I'm just really thankful to be here, grateful for you, and a place where we can all, where you can come and listen and be encouraged. And today we're talking about pay down your ignorance. What do I mean by that? Pay down your ignorance. I originally heard this idea from Alex Hormozi. I had dinner with Alex and Layla Hormozi in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. It is fall of 2024 right now. I think it was 2022 when I had dinner with them. And Marley Jackson and I, we were in Vegas for a podcast. I was on Bradley's podcast. And anyway, we met them. They're wonderful. They're worth, I think they do $100 million a year in revenue. And it's incredible what they've done with businesses. They own a company called acquisitions.com. They acquire businesses and they take them, from 4 million to 10 million, or if you're doing 10 million to 30 million, from 30 million to 100 million. They don't take on companies unless they're at least doing 4 million a year in revenue. And they, at the time that they wanted to take on Code Red, the problem is to do more revenue, to make it to that 30 million mark. I wasn't willing to lose my peace. Right now, we don't do nearly that revenue, but I also don't have any stress in my life from Code Red. I just don't. I have normal entrepreneur stress, if revenue is a little bit low that month, or if we had a slow week, or if we are out of, if we're running low on certain supplements or something like that, I will sometimes, have a bit bouts of stress here and there, but I don't want to go into a new day of Code Red where we're doing 30 million a year in revenue and it's stressing me out. The money is just not worth my peace. And I'm 48 and I'm just not interested in that. I have everything I need. More money would be great, but not at the expense of my peace. And that's kind of what it takes to hit those big levels like that. The money doesn't come easy these days, especially in this administration, the current administration that we're hoping to vote out this November of 2024. Things have been rough. I mean, during 2016 through 2020, those were the golden years. And then 2020 through 24 have been rough for everybody. And I am not interested in adding more stress to my life. So I turned down the Hormozi's offer to take on Code Red, to become a partner with Code Red in order to take it to the next level. Maybe that was a wrong move. I don't know. I just know that it was going to take more than I was willing to give. But I listened to Alex Hormozi's podcast. He is a very different guy, a different thinker. He's very fast paced when he talks. He's hard to follow. You need to already have a business and a company. I think he's intermediate to advanced level. So those of you guys who are beginning entrepreneurs, I don't know. I mean, I would listen to him, of course, but he has some different ideas about things. And he talks about paying down your ignorance. And I originally heard this idea from him. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it with you and I'm going to put my own spin on it. What 4 ways I think you can pay down your ignorance. So, what that is the only thing that stands between you and success. And we could talk about anything. I mean, we could talk about success in your marriage, success in your child rearing, success in your weight loss, success in your business, success at your job. You are just ignorant to what it's going to take to go to that next level. It just means that you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So the only thing that stands between you and the next level of whatever you're trying to achieve is just the lack of knowledge. Because they say you know better, you do better. I don't really agree with that. But in this case, for this podcast, we're going to say if you know better, you do better. If you know a better way, you're going to do it and you're going to get to where you want to go. Now, I believe there are 4 ways to pay down your ignorance. So all we're trying to do is if you're trying to make the way that Alex said was just making money. Like what's standing between you and making $1 million in revenue is just your lack of knowledge. So every time you don't hit that million each year that goes by, you need to do what it takes to pay down that ignorance so that you can get to the $1 million mark. That's what he's saying. And I agree with that if we're talking about running a business and I agree with that, but I also agree there are other ways to pay down your ignorance. You don't know what you don't know. And once you do know it, then you can reach that next level, provided you actually want to. Assuming you actually want to get to that next level, assuming you want to lose that 40 pounds, assuming you want to have a better relationship with your husband, assuming you want to hit that next level of revenue in your business, assuming you want to have a better relationship with your teenager. I'm assuming that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get to that next level. So you lack the knowledge. So when you say somebody is ignorant, look, if you look at the older generation of people, sometimes they use a racial slur. They don't know that it's a racial slur. They're ignorant to that fact because in their generation, it wasn't a racial slur. It wasn't offensive to call somebody queer. And I don't know if it is now. See, I mean, even I don't know. I don't call people queer. I don't say he's queer. I'll say he's gay. Like he's a gay person, a homosexual. Oh, that guy's gay. Or yes, she's gay. She's got a wife. I mean, I don't know. Like I don't say they're queer. I just don't use that word, but I've heard gay people say queer, And so the terms change, especially in this age of the woke society that's really become over the top sensitive with all these different genders now that they're trying to claim. No, that's not true. There are only 2 genders. They're trying to claim all these fluid binary. I don't even know what the heck they are. And so it's gotten just crazy and you can't keep up with the racial. I mean, we all know the main racial slurs, but like the other day on my Instagram, I called myself a honky because my legs are really, really, really white. And I was like, is that a racial slur? Even though I'm a white person calling myself a honky, is that okay for me to say? Because I just can't keep up on all the things that all of a sudden are now wrong. And now I'm racist because I said something I didn't know. I was ignorant to the fact that it's a racial slur. And a lot of people in the boomer generation, in even Gen X, and like some of us don't know. We just don't know what we don't know. And so we're ignorant to that fact. Here's another example. I'm ignorant. I've been, a lot of you guys know I've owned 5 motorcycles and I have been getting the hankering to own another one. And I swore, I mean, it's been 20 years. I swore I would never own another motorcycle because they're incredibly dangerous and it's a senseless way to die, being hit by somebody who pulls out in front of you because they don't see you. So I've been kind of wanting to lately. And so what I've been doing is I'm ignorant. That means I lack the knowledge of the new bikes that have come out over the past 20 years, the price of bikes, the different CCs, the different speed, the different weight of the bikes. What level bike do I want? What kind of equipment? I mean, I'm totally ignorant to the type of helmets there are nowadays, to the type of equipment, to the protective equipment, to the motorcycle laws. I'm completely ignorant to the Idaho motorcycle laws. I would have to take the motorcycle safety course. I would have to practice. I would have to learn about a motorcycle again. I'm completely ignorant. It just means I lack the knowledge. And that's kind of what made me start thinking about this subject. Is I've been doing, I don't even know if I'm going to do it, guys. And I know some of you guys are cringing. I know Laura Lee Bowden, she listens to my podcast, and Courtney, I know you're listening to my Courtney Campbell, you're listening to my podcast, and you guys don't want me to get a motorcycle. And I got to tell you, I totally understand. And I would have to do a lot of preparation. I mean, I would have to make sure my will is in order. I'd have to make sure that I have a godparent for Hazel, because and Hazel's uncle, Miguel, he lives up in Canada, and we both kind of, that's Hazel's sister's dad. We both have kind of agreed that if anything happens to either one of us, we would take each other's dog. And because Malinois my mom cannot take Hazel. She cannot live with, she needs to live to where she can live in a home with somebody who understands Malinois. Okay, I would need to make it arrangements to where my mom always has a key to my place, to where if I go out riding and I die or I get hospitalized, she can get in here and get Hazel. And then they can liquidate my assets and split them up among my estate. Like, these are all things I think about. I want to make sure my health insurance is in order. I've got great health insurance. I want to make sure that like I said, my will is in order, and make sure that maybe I have a tracking device. That way somebody can always track me. Maybe make sure I have my company in order in case something happens to me, what's going to happen to my clients and what's going to happen to Code Red. These are all things that I am ignorant to what life is gonna. Well, that's kind of a reach, but I'm ignorant to what could happen. I do know people can wreck, and I don't know. So you have to get yourself prepared to make a life change like that, to become a motorcycle rider again, and to go riding on a regular basis. And how would that look? And I've been doing my research on how would that look, and I'm weighing out the pros and cons. Do I want to go down this road? Do I want to become a motorcyclist? Do I want to, what kind of riding do I want to do? Do I just want to do evenings and weekends? I don't want to commute. I don't really want to take road trips. I don't really want to go out on the highway, and I don't want to, I don't know. Do I want to take private lessons? I'm ignorant to all the things. I mean, it's been 20 years since I've had a motorcycle. They are much better nowadays than they ever used to be. So I just lack the knowledge and the information about today's motorcycles. I don't know what I don't know. So that's what made me kind of start thinking about it. So there are 4 ways to pay down your ignorance, and you can apply these to any area of your life. The first way is education, and that's what I'm doing. I'm educating myself on what life would look like if I started picking up the sport of motorcycle riding again. Is there a motorcycle club? Are there, what about the roads? What roads are good? What roads are not good? Do they keep it cleaned up with gravel? Like what kind of equipment do I need? All the stuff, all the things, so much education. And by you educating yourself, you can pay down your ignorance. How about cholesterol? That's a great example of paying down your ignorance. If your doctor says you have high cholesterol, do not panic. What does that mean? Does that mean your ratio is off? Does that mean you have high HDL? Well, you want to have high HDL. You're supposed to want to have low LDL. But that, into what we know when you educate yourself on cholesterol, is that that's not necessarily true. I have high HDL and high LDL, but I have very, very low triglycerides. Triglycerides, that's basically dirty blood. That directly correlates with your diet. And if you're eating, high triglycerides, that's what we want. We don't want that. We want those triglycerides under 150. And so my triglycerides, I think, are 51. That's like I'm eating grass. All right. So that you don't want to just look at your HDL and your LDL. You want to look at those triglycerides. And so by getting yourself educated on the truth about triglycerides, that our medical doctors were educated on a pharmaceutical paradigm, and that cholesterol is vastly misunderstood, and that, they wanted to put me on statins, but yet I don't have any other metabolic, I'm not failing any other metabolic marker, that I have familial high cholesterol, that I have low triglycerides, that my waist circumference, my blood pressure, my A1C, my fasting glucose, my triglycerides, those are the 5 metabolic markers of health. All of those are good. I am not failing anything in my life as far as metabolic markers. So why would you put me on statins just because of one single thing? I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't eat sugar. I don't have any other. My LDL particles are not sticky and they are not sticking to my arterial walls. I don't have atherosclerosis. I am not laying down plaque. I am perfectly healthy. Why would you put me on statins? When you educate yourself, then you can pay down that ignorance. When you understand A1C, when you understand diabetes, when you understand how berberine works, our metabolic assist is berberine, and that brings down your blood sugar faster and better than metformin. That's what the double blind crossover studies have shown. And it doesn't have the side effects of kidney problems and stomach problems and other problems. So why not pay down your ignorance with education? Education is a great way to figure things out. Here was a couple of years ago, I got on this kick where I really wanted a camper van. I rented, you guys remember when I went on that trip with Vinny, summer of 2020, 2022, summer of 2022 or spring of May of 2022. I had Vinny, my black lab, and Vinny has since passed away. He was my soul dog. He was the dog. I know you guys love Hazel and I are very tightly bonded, but Vinny was more suited for my personality, and I thought we'd be together forever. I got him from the pound at 9 months old. Even in he was turned into the pound at 6 months old. He was abused, massively abused. He spent 3 months in the kennel. He was adopted and returned 3 times in 3 months. And by the time I got him, he had so many problems. I put over $10,000 of training into that dog and couldn't get him past his problems. I sent him to go live on farm at my sister's farm in Kentucky. He got loose. He ran into the road. He got hit by a car. He died. It was tragic. And I still miss him every day. My sister Carrie had a watercolor done of Vinny, and it hangs in here in my office. And it's just I mourn. I walk by it every day, and I miss him. And so Vinny and I took a camping trip, and we rented a wander van, and it was a camper van. And from then I wanted a camper van, and so I researched. I mean, guys, I became obsessed with camper vans, totally and completely obsessed with them. And I had one picked out. I had a leisure van with a corner bed picked out. It was $200,000. I mean, I was sold on this. I loved, of course, camper vans and campers in general and motorhomes. That sales just went through the roof during 2020 during COVID, because we were in lockdown and families were looking for a way to travel and do things with their family, their kids. And they ended up, there was a lot of camping going on, a lot of campers that were sold, and the price went up. And now you can't give those things away. Nobody wants them, and they don't keep their value anyway. But I was sold on a camper van. So every night for 6 months, I'm not kidding you, I watched camper van videos, and I paid down my ignorance. I learned all about camper vans, every single style, make, model, everything about them. I figured out what I want, what I don't want. I learned about the gray water tank. I learned about all the capacity. I learned about the driving components, the living components. I learned about how to balance it out. I learned about everything I could. Talk about paying down your ignorance. Like, I really wanted to know everything I could, because you don't get into a $200,000 camper van without knowing what you're getting yourself into. I don't think some houses don't even cost $200,000. So the more research I found out, the more research I did, the more I realized that there are campgrounds a lot where on the website it'll show open spaces or that the campground is open, but then you go to that campground and you find out that maybe it's closed, or maybe there are no open spaces because they haven't updated the website. I know when Vinny and I went and camped outside of Ketchum, the water wasn't even running, or the water was frozen. It ended up being so cold that night. It got down really, really cold, and Vinny was shaking. I was warm in my sleeping bag. Vinny was shaking. And so I realized that there are a lot of variables that I couldn't control when it came to campgrounds. And I was not interested in I'm not a person that flexes very well. I'm a person that does not I don't go with the flow very well. And if I get into a situation and it is not what I thought, I don't handle that very well and I end up um that stresses me out. So I decided to not do the camper van. And I got past that. But talk about paying down your ignorance. Like, when it comes to your marriage, if you are ignorant, if you lack the knowledge of what your husband's love language is and how to love him in his love language, then you need to get Dr. Chapman's book, The Five Languages of Love: quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, gift giving, and uh, quality time, words of affirmation, quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving, physical touch, and acts of service. And uh, people need to feel, I can tell you mine is words of affirmation for sure. And I'm a little bit of physical touch. But mostly words of affirmation. I need to verbally hear how you feel about me. I need to hear you say that you think I'm pretty, my partner, that you think I'm pretty, that you think I'm a great business owner, that I'm a great weight loss coach, that you're proud of me in the gym, that I'm looking good, that my legs are growing. I need to hear that. And it's good to know. And so that is paying down your ignorance. You're getting Dr. Chapman's book and you are reading that and you're taking the test at the end and you're finding out what your partner's love language is so you can love them in their love language. My mom's love language is definitely acts of service. And so whenever I borrow her car, I always clean it out. I always fill it up with gas and I always wash it. She doesn't want to you don't talk. Show my mom. My mom wants acts of service. And Andrea, my one of my coaches, her love language is definitely words of affirmation. That's an easy one for me to love her in. I know that when I had a coach, Nancy Bond, one year for Christmas, I got her love language is quality time. So that's what she needs to feel loved, is to spend time with that person. So I got her pedicures with Cristy and breakfast with Cristy as a gift, as a Christmas present. And so I went all the way to Lewiston, where she lived, and I spent a whole day with her. We got pedicures together and we ate breakfast together. And that was my gift because I know that that's what she needed to feel loved. And so I am loving people in their love language, but I wouldn't have known to do that if I didn't educate myself with with the five languages of love, for example. If you are, like I know that if you're raising a Gen Alpha kid and or you're, and you got a Gen Z or whatever, whatever, and they speak in the language. It's like a Ohio skibbity riz, all these Sigma. I don't know any of these bull crap. You're gonna want to pay down that insurance, that ignorance by educating yourself. Maybe if you I don't know if I'd bother with that baloney. What is that? What is that baloney with the kids talking nowadays? Like it's just that's a mid, brah. And I'm just like, what is it? Don't call me bro. Okay. I'm not your bro. I'm Cristy. I'm Coach Cristy. Don't call me bro. All right. Like I don't know. But you want to pay down that ignorance with education, with educating yourself on whatever it is you're wanting to, advance in. I know that when I first became incorporated with the state of Idaho, or I first set up my LLC with the state of Idaho at the Secretary of State's office, that was in May of 2016. I immediately got Robert Kiyosaki's book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Everybody should read that. But I immediately started getting books on taxes and tax code and trying to learn about taxes. I didn't get very far, by the way. I ended up hiring a tax accountant and turning it over. It just made my eyeballs want to bleed. But I was trying to pay down my ignorance because I didn't know what I didn't know and I didn't understand. And so there are many, many ways to pay down your ignorance with education. Get yourself educated on what you are trying to accomplish. Figure out what it is. You just you're the problem is that you lack the knowledge. So get the knowledge. Get the knowledge. Watch YouTube videos. Get the knowledge. Get yourself educated. The second way I think you can pay down your ignorance is with experience. is simply with experience, just doing it. When I first started boxing, I didn't know a thing about boxing. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I just started doing it, and it just got just time in the ring, time on the with the mitts, time on the bag, time on the speedball, like just time slipping the rope, time. I just did it with the experience. I took a lot of fights. I took 15 pro fights over the course of almost 8 years, and I did it over and over and over and over. I threw 10,000 punches and I became an expert in it, but I did it by just gaining experience, just figuring it out. If you're trying to have a better marriage, then spend time with your partner and talk. And I can show you. I got these cards off Amazon because was in a relationship, and we were working our way through these flashcards. If you guys don't know, I'm holding up. If you're listening on podcast, I'm holding up this thing called Best Self. Deeper connection conversations between you and your partner. And there are 6 categories, and it's life, random, past, relationship, intimacy. There are 6 different categories. You pick a category, they're all color coded, and you pull one out. And let's just pull one out here. I'll show you what it is. Um, what conversation have you been putting off? Tell me how I can help. And this is a great card that is going to prompt conversations between you and your partner. Um, that's just about time. It's just time in the saddle. It's getting time in the saddle. It's doing the hard work, having experience. These cards really helped me have great conversation with a guy that I had been seeing for a while, and we really went deep. We spent 2 months just really going deep and trying to get to know each other and trying to build that solid foundation, that solid friendship. And so experience is just going to get you there. Just experiencing things, doing something over and over and over is going to help you pay down that ignorance. The time in the saddle, we like to say, we say that in boxing. I mean, we say that in cycling. We say that in horseback riding. We say that in motorcycle riding. Just time in the saddle. Just get in there and do it. You're gonna be able to pay down a lot of ignorance by just doing it. So that's a great way, in my opinion. Again, these are my opinions on how to pay down your ignorance. And I just came up with these. Alex Hormozy strictly does business. I like to take this a step further, and these are just Christy's 4 ways to pay down your ignorance. Number 3 way to pay down your ignorance: proof. Proof. If you don't know something and you lack the knowledge, but you see that it's working, that's a great way to pay down that ignorance. It really helps to see the side by side comparison between how metformin performed and how metabolic assist performed. You can see it. It's a side by side comparison. How can you be ignorant to the fact after you see that double blind crossover study? It's right there in black and white. It's proof. If you can see these studies that come out about cholesterol, you can see the proof. You can see the actual A1C. You can see your fasting glucose. You can actually see the numbers, quantifiable data. That's going to pay down your ignorance real quick. That's why for the past 8 years, I have posted a before and after success story for Code Red, and I've never missed one day. Because the proof, people don't believe what they hear, they believe what they see. And I'm showing you proof that the program works. I'm showing you proof of real food, water, and sleep. That's going to pay down your ignorance quick. Because this is, in this world, we are saturated with weight loss programs. This is weight loss is a very, very saturated industry. It's very difficult to make it in weight loss as an entrepreneur. It's a very saturated industry. It's very hard to stand out. It's very hard to get people's attention. They're bombarded with so much information about weight loss. But when you show them proof, you have to show people proof. They don't believe it unless they see it. And you can gain knowledge real quick when you see the proof of something. When you see the proof of how these are working in your marriage. When you see the proof of how your relationship with your teenager is getting better because of what you're doing. When you see the proof of real food, water, and sleep and how we get just as much weight off of people as bariatric surgery, how you see the proof. And like this, the opposite is true of like Ozempic, for example. These people, it slows down the digestion. It makes you less hungry. Problem is, what people are eating, it's not enough nourishment for our cells. That's why you see the Ozempic face. That's why people look gaunt and gray and sick and sunken in. That's why people lose mostly muscle, because their body is eating away at that muscle, because they're starving on a cellular level, and their body is starving itself. It's eating itself, because you're becoming so not hungry that you're not getting the nourishment that you need. And so that proof right there, you see somebody who's on Ozempic, it's pretty clear when they have that Ozempic face. Yeah, that you can pay down some ignorance real quick when you see someone who's got Ozempic face. You get wise pretty quick. Proof is such a great method to get yourself caught up to a certain point. Look for the proof. I always conduct my business with emails, because I always want to have proof of what I am saying and what I'm doing. I very rarely, and I know this is not, and I have a friend, you guys have seen Jeff later on here. We talk a lot about business, Jeff and I, and he's been on 2 podcasts so far. I'd like to get him on more because he is good on podcasts and he's got a good outlook on things, different than me, but a good outlook. And he conducts his business all through, he does like voice memos, and he doesn't do, it's all done with his voice. And I'm like, you can't do that. I don't think you can do that. When you're talking about firing somebody, or you're talking about something like making a major pivot in your business, it needs to be done in writing, I think. And he believes it needs to be done with his voice. I think it can be done with your voice and in writing, but you need to have a backup in writing. You got to have proof of things. And proof is, that's what's always going to win out, I think. And that's a great way to pay down your ignorance on something. When you see proof of it, you start believing it pretty quick, especially when you see proof every single day for 8 solid years. It's really hard to deny the benefits of Code Red when you see every single day the proof of real food, water, and sleep. Every single day you see people taking their life back without shakes, pills, diet foods, or exercise. Every single day you see this. You wise up pretty quick when you see the proof. And I think proof is a great way to pay down your ignorance. And the fourth way to pay down your ignorance is get coaching from someone who's ahead of you. Now, that is directly from Alex Hormozi. That's what he was saying. He was just saying that. He was saying you need to get coaching from someone who's ahead of you. That's a great way to pay down your ignorance. And for many years, I did have a business coach. I had Natasha for the first year, or the first maybe year to 2 years. I don't remember. And then I had James for 3 years after that. And Natasha got me to 1 million in revenue. James got me to 10 million in revenue. And then I've been on my own ever since. And when you're trying to get to the $1 million or $10 million mark in revenue, every year that goes by, or every month that goes by that you're not making that 800K, you're costing yourself money. You've got to pay down your ignorance by using that money to get a coach. A coach that is ahead of you is going to help you get to that level. Same thing with Code Red coaches. VIP coaches, that's you spending that $397 a month, that's paying down your ignorance. That's getting you all the way to where you need to go so much quicker than what you would. You don't know what you don't know. And even if you knew it, you're not doing it. That's getting you where you want to go, is getting yourself a coach. I have a prep coach for bodybuilding. I'm doing, as the time I'm recording this, I'm doing a bodybuilding show in 7 weeks. Yeah, I have a trainer that I go see 2-3 times a week named Corey. You can see him on my Instagram. And I've got a prep coach. I'm paying down my ignorance with having a coach. I pay for these guys. I pay good money for both of them. And I am not going to squander any time. I want to look good when I get on stage. Therefore, I need a coach. I am ignorant to how to prep myself. I do not know how to prep myself, and I need another set of eyes on my body so that they can help me with what changes I need week to week, because we tweak it every week. We tweak it every week. Ignorance only means that you have a lack of knowledge, that you do not have the information that you need. It's not a bad thing. It's a learning experience. It's just, okay, if you're ignorant to something, that's the bottom. You're ignorant to it. You don't know what you don't know. So, education, experience, proof, and getting coaching from someone who's ahead of you, those, in my opinion, are the best 4 ways to pay down your ignorance. Don't waste time. Well, I got this. No, you don't got this. Or you would already be walking around with 6-pack abs. You don't got this, or you'd be reaching millions and making millions. You don't got this, or your marriage would be rock solid and you guys wouldn't be fighting every other night. You don't got this, or your kid wouldn't be flunking math and hanging out with the kids that are smoking over there behind the dumpster like they used to at the smoking kids. When I was back, come on, Gen X. Come on. Remember when smoking was so bad? Now the kids are vaping. Oh, what the heck? Vaping? Oh my gosh. You don't got this. You need to make sure that you're paying down that ignorance. Recognize that you are ignorant in something. Recognize that you don't know. Recognize that there could be another side of the story. Recognize that there could be other opinions. There could be other methods, that there could be other ways to handle this, and find out what they are. Ask around. Find out. Find somebody who's more successful than you. Find somebody who has kept their weight off and ask them what they're doing. Find somebody who's muscular and ask them what they're doing. Find a way to pay down that ignorance so you quickly get to that next level and you don't waste years or even decades trying to get there. You can get there quick, and you might be like, oh my gosh, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for a coach, like a business coach. That's nothing, guys. That's nothing. People pay, back in the day, I paid $2,000 a month for my business coach. And he even gave me a deal, and I gladly paid that because I was making $800K a month. Because with his coaching, I was able to quickly pay down my ignorance and get right to the source of what I needed to do to build up my revenue and skyrocket Code Red. And that's how I reached this award right here and behind me. I quickly learned how to pay down my ignorance with a coach. I'm going to make it, and I'm going to bring a beautiful physique on stage at the High Rollers Royale in Vegas on November 16th, 2024, because I'm getting coaching. That is quickly paying down my ignorance. I'm getting another set of eyes on my physique. We're tweaking each day. I'm using someone's expert opinion who is way ahead of me, who's got proof, by the way, who's educated, by the way, and who has experience. So they tick all the boxes. I mean, it's ticking all the boxes. Education, experience, proof, and coaching. Those are my 4 top ways to pay down your ignorance in whatever the heck you are trying to achieve. And if you're not trying to achieve anything, what? You're not trying to grow. You're not trying to do anything. You're just kind of living your life stagnant. That's not a way to live. What's that? That's probably a different podcast for a different day. But you are ignorant, and it only means that you just don't know what you don't know. You just lack the information and the knowledge. It's not a bad thing. But if you know that you're ignorant, or you've been told that you're ignorant, now you've got at least 4 ways to pay down that ignorance. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. If you are looking for some hardcore accountability to get and keep this weight off, look no further, because I've got VIP Connection. This is the ultimate connection to me, just short of me sleeping on your couch. You're going to get 3 daily messages from me in real time directly to you. You're going to submit your weight every Friday. We're going to go over it in a weekly meeting on Sunday nights, and I'm going to give you feedback. You'll have access to a monthly VIP breakfast with me in Boise, a monthly VIP supplement box, access to any workshop, any PDF promo that I hold for that month, You'll have access to the Ringside membership. And best of all, you'll have a fully customized nutrition program written just for you. We're talking about over $3,000 total value for $397 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Go to coderedlifestyle.com/VIP to check that out.